This is 1480 KRAE Cheyenne.
Also being heard on translator K266CC Cheyenne at 101.1 FM.
It's time now for something new for you. It's KRAE Reports, a week in review. And now let's check in with our program right here on 1480 KRAE Cheyenne. Good morning. Welcome to KRAE Reports, a week in review. I'm Larry Perlotti, along with Nick Perlotti. We have our friends in from the Wyoming Department of Transportation today. Of course, the big cheese, he kind of bailed out on us, but that's okay. We have some really good replacements in for Doug McGee. We have District 1 Public Involvement Specialist Andrea Staley and Deputy Public Affairs Officer Jordan Ox joining us this morning. And again, this is a program today talking about winter driving, especially here in Wyoming. What our crews do. We got projects that will be forthcoming in 2023. Legislature's in session. Fed monies are also being distributed throughout the country. So talk a little bit about this, a little bit about that. We're going to bring on Andrea first, and I'm going to start off the program by first saluting. And as we mentioned off air, I've had a friend who recently retired. I had a friend that passed away. And these were the guys, especially in wintertime, that were making sure that 80 and 25 were cleared to the best of their ability. But this is a thankless job, and usually Mother Nature has the final say before everything's all said and done.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, let's talk about how you get these guys out and about. And when is there a time that they don't go? I mean, and again, I'm assuming this is a co-op probably with the Wyoming State Patrol. How do we know, lower the gates, stick a fork in the roads, they're done?
Yeah, it's lots of factors. Our maintainers are out on that road 24/7 for I-80 and I-25. Those are 24-hour roads. So they're on 12-hour shifts, and they'll stay longer if they need. So first got the guys have boots on the ground. They can see the conditions when they're deteriorating, when the visibility is getting bad. But also our highway patrol, when they have an overwhelming amount of crashes, and they just can't have, guys everywhere to handle them. So it's a big coordinated effort, and they're always in constant communication with each other. So,
is there a time, Andrea, that we just say, guys, we don't even want you out there?
I mean, it can get to that point, but the biggest thing for us is if we can see the hazards coming, then we can keep the road open. But when the wind kicks up, when the snow's flying, and you can't see, your hand in front of your face, there's nothing you can do about that. We don't want anybody to get into an accident without even seeing what's in front of them. So visibility is one of the major causes of our closures, at least recently. And then, as you well know, ice and kind of that stuff. But our guys have been working around the clock, and they've really been putting in a ton of effort recently. So.
Well, something, again, where we're used to the weather conditions out here, again, closing, especially here from Cheyenne to Laramie, again, just going through that pass is always a difficult, and again, got to see this past Wednesday driving over again. Saw a little bit of the ice and saw a little slickness, saw an accident as well, too, on the bend going towards Buford as well. But something that's been kind of recently implemented that caught a lot of folks, a lot of Wyoming citizens off guard, especially for those who do travel in between Cheyenne and Laramie, again, that 40 miles or so, is rolling closures, which kind of seems like a new thing from WYDOT. Let's talk about that difference, or at least that introduction here in WYDOT, and what exactly is it?
Yeah. So they are relatively new compared to some of our other types of closures, for sure. So, Wyoming is very rural, low population state, which a lot of us like it that way. However, I-80 is a very major thoroughfare for interstate, intrastate, nationwide freight. So we often would run into an issue with a prolonged closure, let's say, for example, between Laramie and Rawlins, because of snow and wind and ice and, all that whole gambit. And we don't want Laramie getting overwhelmed with commercial traffic to where there's no hotels, no more fuel, no more parking for these drivers. So we roll the closure back to Cheyenne to make sure that people have adequate parking, hotel rooms, food access, and all those things to make it safe, not only for those drivers in the area, but then the residents too, so they can get around town and get to work and those things. So we do have a program for those people who might be commuting between Cheyenne and Laramie, the Rolling Closure Authorization Program. It is through our Wyoming Travel Authorization Program, which is available on our 511 website, wyoroad.info. Wyoming residents are the only ones eligible, and they can sign up and get notification of any rolling closure in the state. So sometimes it's on the other side of the state from where you are, but that way you can get home on 80 if it's just rolling closures in your way.
Which, again, is something I've applied for. It's an easy application online. Again, go through it, and, again, something that folks are able to, at least when we run into that rolling closure, to get at least past those gates to get onto our at least destination, whether it is Laramie or Cheyenne. So, again, a great opportunity like that. We talk about, again, the preference, or at least kind of the main crux of I-25, I-80, at least here in the Southeast District. But, again, we do have many other U.S. highways. Again, U.S. 85, 287 going to Laramie, going on down to Happy Jack as well, too, to get over to Laramie as well. What's kind of the order operation when we do run into weather events? And, again, we're main focusing on the highways, or at least the interstates, but, again, for our rural highways, for those citizens that also do live out there in Laramie County or Albany County, what's kind of the order operation to send truck drivers out there to get those plows going?
Yeah, we do have a snow plow priority plan. So we prioritize all the state highways in the state based a lot on usage, so how busy they are, but we also take into consideration school bus routes and other important routes for local commerce and things. So it's on our website as far as the priority goes, but like Andrea said, it's I-80 and I-25 are number one, and then you'll see routes like 210, US 30 north of Laramie, etc., prioritized, again, based on usage primarily.
We're talking with Jordan Ox, and again, Andrea, either one of you can answer this question, talking about the numerous trucking companies that pass through Wyoming, whether it's Interstate 80 or going north and south on 25. Is there a program? Is there video? Is there instructions on, again, time is money, especially for the trucking companies and a lot of younger people who have not graced our highways or our interstates, don't know the drill. But are there instructional videos to remind people, hey, between October and May, you could encounter these type of situations. Here's our suggestions.
Yeah, we do produce what's called the WYDOT report. It's a weekly video news story that covers a lot of those topics in the winter, and then summer topics as well, driving through construction zones and other kinds of different relevant topics to the time of year or different projects we have going on, different impacts to drivers. It's on our YouTube page. If you just search WYDOT videos, you'll find all of our videos that we've produced in the last couple of years. A variety of topics from seatbelts to night driving to wildlife to winter. So we try to cover anything a driver might encounter on the road.
Is Laramie to Rollins, and this includes going through Wagon Hound, Arlington, Elk Mountain, is that the most dangerous stretch of road in the state of Wyoming, especially during the winter?
It certainly sees quite a few impacts, travel-related impacts, closures, wind, snow. I-80 in general, I think, surprises a lot of people because it is essentially a 400-mile mountain pass. The average elevation is about 6,000 feet, and then the summit is called that because it's the summit for I-80 nationwide. It's the tallest I-80 gets. So I think a lot of people see the plains and the prairie, and they think that they're still in Iowa or Nebraska when they're really essentially traveling a 400-mile Donner Pass in California. So, it can look a little deceiving sometimes.
And again, for this season where we know that winter was going to be a little bit harder, again, a lot more snow, a lot more frigid temperatures, especially here in the state of Wyoming, again, as we see here in the southern part of the state, I guess what I'm going to allude to, and again, for both Jordan and Andrea, we are dealing post-pandemic shortages of employees. And again, we know WYDOT, as we've seen over the past couple of years, hey, there's been an outreach of getting plow drivers out there. Again, with the amount of closures that we are seeing, how many of it is due to the fact that we are lacking trucks on the road for I-80 or also for those rural highways? Does that kind of contribute as well to the amount of closures we're having here since 2020?
I would say the majority of it is winter weather related at this point. We are seeing shortages. We're short about 60 plow drivers right now. Historically has been as high as 80. That being said, we know that most of the storms in the state don't impact the whole state at once. So when there's an area not getting impacted by the storm quite as bad, we'll move those plow drivers to the areas getting hit by the storm. So we're trying to make up for maybe those vacancies with other crews to kind of pick up that slack, to try to make it as minimal of an impact to the traveling public as possible. Now, Mother Nature's had other plans for us so far, but right now that's our current strategy, and it's been working really well.
Andrea, let's talk dollars and cents here real quick, and let's talk about I guess where WYDOT has to assess damages after it's all said and done. Because, again, Interstate 80 has had a lot of work being done on it from Cheyenne to Laramie for years now. And, again, obviously you're running plows, you're putting sand down. It's taken its toll. The roads are not being built the way they used to be built many, many moons. Talk about I guess the constant damage that is, again, not on WYDOT's behalf because you got to do your job, but is this something you have to assess after every snow season, how much damage to the roads are caused by winter?
Yeah, and actually right now we're doing our district tours, our road tours, and we go every mile on the highways and assess where the impacts have happened, where these accidents have happened. But also when we do have these big accidents or crashes that happen on our interstates, we do have a damage repairs that's their whole job, is they assess the damage and then they will bill the insurance company. So it's not coming any of that like guardrail that you see ruined or delineator posts, anything like that that are, affected during these crashes. It's not coming from the taxpayer dollars to fix that. That is actually coming from the insurance company. That's why you have insurance. That's why you guys have car insurance.
Well, you know what? And I'm looking at also from the city standpoint, where we have X amount of dollars in our budget to remove snow, and then it's overtime, and then boom, we've kind of got to go rob Peter to pay Paul to take care of snow removal. For the state of Wyoming, talk about how this either passes through the legislature. Is it a combination of state of Wyoming federal funds, Jordan? When do we ever run out of money? Because again, if we get a winter, as Nick alluded to, such as this, and we still have a lot of winter in front of us, I feel, boy, we could be running short on cash.
So in the winter, removing snow, plowing, it's our number one priority. We want to keep those traveling public safe as they're traveling to work or to tend to their livestock or to deliver their goods to that store. So we want to make sure that those people are safe. So we do try to budget based on previous winters and what we know about costs for things like salt, sand, and plow parts and everything. But of course, if a winter's harsh, we do have to adjust, and that does mean sometimes taking money from other things. We can't use federal money plowing snow. It's only for construction. So we do have to match that federal money with a state match for those construction projects. So sometimes it does impact that state match. But usually we find ways to make it work because, like I said, that's our number one priority every winter, and it can't go undone. So we make it happen.
Also on top of the economics is also on top of infrastructure of the roads just necessarily. But again, as we see the stretch between Cheyenne and Laramie are the variable speed limit signs, those placards above that let you know, hey, high winds, or again, we got road closure, accident up ahead. Again, those are very key factors here on I-80 and even I-25 throughout this entire state. But again, as we look towards monies and financials, is WYDOT right now looking at adding more technology as we, again, get into this new era of, again, smart technology? Is WYDOT looking to invest into more safety measures within I-80 or I-25?
We definitely try to, and we can. Right now, we are in preservation mode, so our current budgetary focus is preserving what we have, making that as good as we can make it. So right now, we would probably focus more on maintaining current cameras, making sure they're running, versus adding more. But of course, if there's funding available, we would add more.
We are talking with Deputy Public Affairs Officer Jordan Ox and District 1 Public Involvement Specialist Andrea Staley here from the Wyoming Department of Transportation. Again, talking about winter driving, again, ice and snow, please take it slow. We look at other things going on here within the state of Wyoming. And again, obviously we're covering here southeastern Wyoming, especially during the wintertime. You mentioned the sand salt mixture, and I know driving by Beaufort many times, the big pile of the sand salt. Do we have that abundance here in Wyoming, or do we have to get that shipped into us? I mean, tell us a little bit where we get all that from. I'll go with you on that one, Andrea.
We have contractors. That's one of the things that we have, bid out. People can put in for that contract. So right now, I believe we are getting our salt sand, I believe, out of state for this current one, but I can double check. But we have those big salt sand sheds about every 20-30 miles for our guys. I mean, and I think in Cheyenne there's some that are even 10 miles apart. Just to have for our guys to constantly, be able to go and fill up. And we there's always shortages, especially just how the reality of life right now is. But our guys are staying on top of it.
And I want to keep it there, too. And a situation that I've seen over the years, and again, I've been here since 1986, and I always said, why are these fences, these gates up? And you were mentioning technology, Nick. Obviously, technology sometimes has to supersede or has to be better than Mother Nature. But all those old-fashioned wood gates that are on, whether it's fed land or a cattleman's property, is there a better way to stop the drifting of snow? I mean. Give me the education portion of the program here, Jordan.
I think what's great about the snow fence is that it's really low cost, low tech, just some wood placed at a certain distance from itself, and it has a maximum amount of impact. So I think that's one reason we tend to favor it, is that it low cost, minimal effect on the land. beyond just maybe collecting water, which I don't think ranchers see as a bad thing. And then conversely, it helps keeps highways open. So I think, we have been looking at other types of technology. We did start a pilot program for some solar paneled snow fence. So in the summer, it can collect power, and then sometimes in the winter too. And then in the winter, its primary goal is to collect that snow. But we're hoping that if it works well, we could use some of that to power some of those roadway signs, the variable speed limit signs, and other technology that can often be in the middle of nowhere. So we're hoping it's a good tool for that, but we're still studying it to see how effective it is.
Something I'm going to bring up to both of you again, kind of opinionated, or I would assume WYDOT has looked into this, where again, in recent conversation, especially with the amount of closures we have seen on I-80, there has been talks, hey, if we move I-80, especially this portion, over to Laramie again north, hey, that would solve all the problems and closures would be a thing of the past, or at least the amount of them would not be as many as we see right now going through the Laramie Range. Is that true? Would that be accurate if again, we found the Fed monies, the state monies to, again, all of a sudden shift I-80 north just a few miles to avoid that Laramie Range? Would I-80's problems all of a sudden just be cured by that?
I don't know if it would all of a sudden be completely solved. Like I said, I-80 is essentially a 400-mile mountain pass, so there's still going to be its problematic spots. But being that close to the snowy range definitely has its impacts, especially the Arlington Elk Mountain area you're right up against, where you get some snow that sometimes no other area will get. So I think we're open to the idea. It's just about that funding. That dollar amount's pretty scary. So if we could get some federal funding to help with that, that would be huge. But it's kind of a wait and see at this point.
What about with train travel? And again, too, obviously we think all truck travel, pushes goods back and forth. But again, what is our relationship with UP and Burlington SNF? Or I do believe it's
Burlington Northern.
Burlington Northern. They change every day. But anyway, my question is WYDOT also a part of trying to keep the tracks clear as well too for train travel? How does that all work hand in hand?
We work really closely with the railroads, working with them to help get their crews to the trains that might be kind of in the middle of a closed road, or working with them on their overpasses and underpasses for train tracks, because those are bridges, and we do a lot with bridges. So we definitely have a close working relationship with both railroads. And then we've been working with the city of Cheyenne and the Cheyenne MPO on a study to see what passenger rail service would look like from Cheyenne to the Front Range. So that's been an interesting other side of railroad that we don't see as often as the freight stuff. So
what about dollars and cents? And I'm going to throw this at you, Andrea, from a day when 80 is closed, and let's pick on either way, either one of you, whether it's Cheyenne, and we'll say Cheyenne or Rawlins, because that's usually what the closure is. What is for truck travel? What is a daily loss by them? Again, it's good economy wise for Cheyenne and Laramie, but for them as the truckers, what did they say they usually are out if they are down a day or two here in our part of the world?
I don't have a hard dollar and cent amount I could give you, but I'm sure it would be in the thousands, if not tens of thousands, if you consider prices of loads and prices to idle and hours lost and things like that. I mean, I'm sure the Trucking Association feels it pretty hard. And we get those calls all the time from truckers just wanting to get through. And we try to get them through when we can, because we know it's a big freight route. And we've been adding truck parking and things to try to make it a little easier for them to get across the state.
I want to get into, and this will be at least for you, Andrea, where more on the infrastructure side regarding our interstates, again, I-80, I-25. It's something that, again, as we do the maintenance, we try to get that construction done. And I know recently we had that I-80 project. Again, we'll go underway as soon as roads kind of thaw out. Mm-hmm. But right now, infrastructure regarding I-80, I-25, even going to our county roads or the U.S. highways, are our roads a lot better than most states? Are they well maintained, or do we have a big construction project waiting on our hands that, again, at least a lot of the roads here, especially in southeast Wyoming, need to kind of get improved upon?
Right. Like Jordan said, we are in preservation mode. I don't know in comparison to other states. I'm originally from Michigan. I think Wyoming highways are fantastic, especially considering the type of weather that we experience throughout the year. You get everything from really hot days to really cold days with wind and, like you were saying, the crashes and the amount of damage that can happen to our roads. I think that our guys, our engineers that are doing the construction, our maintainers, they take a lot of pride in our roads, and as they should. They work really hard to keep them open, to keep everybody safe traveling them. So I really believe that, we have the best highways in the land.
It's definitely good to hear. One other, and again, we'll talk about what's upcoming potential construction projects with you again as we get out of winter. Again, we look forward to construction season out here.
It's in like a month.
Absolutely. One project that happened, and again, we're over in Laramie that affected kind of game day at that time. And again, nothing against WYDOT. It was more so of, again, human error, again, crashing into the bridge that closed down that Grand Avenue exit. Is that bridge project finished, or does that still, is there still work needed to be done?
Nope, that one's completely finished. They actually got that expedited, went through and completed in, I think, like 3 months. It was really, really fast as far as, fixing a bridge column goes. They had to, engineer it, and they did a fantastic job. So that's great. Speaking of another bridge, an upcoming project in Laramie, Curtis Street Bridge will be demolished and replaced this summer. So that's going to have a pretty significant detour for anybody in Laramie. So that should be happening fairly soon. We haven't gotten our schedule yet for that, but that's a big one that's coming up over in Laramie. We got a couple projects coming up in Cheyenne as well.
Upcoming projects in the year 2023, more with the Wyoming Department of Transportation right after these words here on 1480 KRAE.
Your locally owned and operated radio stations, KYOI FM and 1480 KRAE AM, are just that, local, serving Cheyenne and Laramie County, where your advertising dollar stays local too. It doesn't end up in Colorado, Oklahoma, New Hampshire, or even New York. We conduct business here. We shop here, and we live here. And we support our entire community 24/7, 365. Just because it has a window dressing doesn't mean it isn't a facade. A reminder from KYOI and 1480 KRAE.
If you're looking to make a difference in local health care, Cheyenne Regional Medical Center is the place for you. We're more than just a hometown hospital. We are the largest health system in Wyoming with the latest technology. We want to help you grow as a person as well as within your career in health care. Inspire great health with us at Cheyenne Regional Medical Center. To learn about our opportunities, call us at 307-633-7871 or send us an email at recruiting@crmcwy.org.
Do you have Medicare and do you use a CPAP machine? This is a national healthcare alert regarding your CPAP supplies. Using a clean CPAP mask and clean supplies is important to staying healthy. The best way to make sure your CPAP equipment is clean is to get new supplies. If you have Medicare, we have great news. Medicare will pay for you to have new clean supplies every 90 days. We'll even do all the paperwork for you to make sure that there's little to no out-of-pocket cost to you. And you don't even have to leave your home. We provide free in-home delivery. So if you're a CPAP user and you have Medicare, staying healthy with new CPAP equipment is easy. Just make this free phone call right now to get started.
Sponsored by Specialty Medical. 800-245-3098. 800-245-3098. 800-245-3098. That's 800-245-3098.
For over 30 years and still delivering the results you expect is Shine Auto Repair and Service. Hi, this is Larry Prowley again for Cars in downtown Cheyenne, reminding you that John and his staff are there to take care of your vehicle's woes. From oil change and replacing windshield wipers to digging deep into fixing your heating and air conditioning unit or fixing your brakes and shocks. You can depend on Shine Auto Repair and Service for taking care of most minor repairs. And most importantly, John is a TechNet professional, which means he is one of the best nationally when it comes to getting your car or truck back on the road as soon as possible. Check him out online at technetprofessional.com. Don't wait until the last minute. Have your vehicle serviced by one of the best in Cheyenne. Shine Auto Repair and Service at 604 West Lincoln Way. Call for an appointment at 632-0498. That's 307-632-0498. Open Monday through Friday.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right. For about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no upfront costs, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now. 800-245-1537. 800-245-1537. 800-245-1537. That's 800-245-1537.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart.
Heather's moment has arrived, and you just hope all that training pays off.
Heather lays down her purchase, but Randy rings it up as slowly as he can.
Uh-oh.
Yep, she's looking at the cigarettes.
There's nothing good back there.
Heather's arm is in motion, but she just grabs the gum off the counter.
That's a slick move.
Even Randy tips his cap to Heather. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally wants you to reduce your risk for cancer.
Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 KRAE.
Other happenings on tap for today. Partly to mostly sunny and windy. Expected daytime high near 35. Winds out of a northwest direction, 35 to 40. Gusting as high as 55. Partly cloudy and blustery for tonight, or low down to 19 degrees. Sunny for tomorrow. We're calling for a daytime high near 41. And for Tuesday night, mostly clear and breezy. Our low down to 22 degrees. I like how I say they're windy today and blustery for tonight. All we know is that snow on I-80 is going to go left, right, left, and straight ahead. So, again, just be cautious as you're out and about on the roads. And the same could be said for 25, too, as you're heading north. Andrea, let's talk about 2023. And I noticed in my time here, we've done a lot of projects right there at the Central Avenue Bridge. Mm-hmm. It's almost like yearly we've got a problem with the bridge. Is that where we're doing work and then the next year we got to finish it up? Or is that just wear and tear over one season? I mean, tell us a little bit about projects that I almost seem, and people are going to say, gosh, you're repeating the same project. Tell us a little bit what happens in these situations.
Yeah, it can feel like it's the same project over again, but with, the city streets, they're getting a lot more traffic. We're just kind of dovetailing different projects, that are a continuation, I guess, but they are essentially different projects. Speaking of which, a different project that's going to be happening is we're doing I-80 from Round Top to Central will be addressed in 2023. There's going to be lane closures to the entrance and exit ramps, but they're going to kind of try to do it where they'll close one ramp at a time so it doesn't inconvenience everybody all the time. It will be a all summer long project, and it's going to be pretty much in one of the busier sections of Cheyenne. So that's coming up in 2023. And we also are doing Terry Ranch between I-25 and US 80. They're going to just do like the mill overlay, the preventative maintenance, but we're also going to do a structure replacement over the Union Pacific Railroad line. So there's going to be a pretty significant detour for that coming up. That's probably our biggest project that we have in the Cheyenne area. But we actually, this morning on our staff call, found a new inconvenience that actually is happening in real time right now. I'll let Jordan kind of talk about it a little bit, but we have that pedestrian bridge over I-25 that has some structural concerns at the moment. That is shut down. We're in the process of shutting it down right now. It can't handle live pedestrians going over it, but I'll let Jordan kind of get into the specifics of what the plan is for that.
Yeah, and then as we flip the mic over to Jordan, go ahead and tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll talk about these projects that are forthcoming. Who's paying for it? So let's get into what's happened with the structural problem.
Yeah, so our bridge engineers, they inspect every bridge in the state, and they occasionally will find something where they're a little concerned. This was one of them. So we know that that bridge is used pretty frequently by the school districts, whether it's Central High School or McCormick Middle School, and then I know there's an elementary school there too that starts with a J. Jessup, thank you. So we are working very closely with the school districts to try to put in a temporary measure to finish out the school year so those kids can still get to school. And then this summer it was already slated for some bridge rehabilitation, so we're just going to expedite that part of the project a little bit and get that contractor out there a little earlier than they were planning maybe, and then make sure that those repairs are all done in time for the next school year as well. So we know it might be inconvenient this summer, but we want to make sure it's safe for everyone to use.
What's, I guess, a Wyoming project with Wyoming tax dollars versus a Fed project? Tell me the difference. So is the bridge a Wyoming project and I-80 is a Fed combination? I mean, how are, because again, you see the signs up there and they'll say, this road will be done in 2023, Fed dollars, $8 million is to that point. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit, one versus the other.
Yeah, so actually it's a little bit of both. Every Fed project, if we use federal dollars, we have to have a state match. So it's usually about a 90-10 split. So the feds will pay $9 for every dollar that we spend. So a lot of those projects will have a mix of both because we can't spend that federal money without the state match. So every once in a while you will see a project that just has state dollars. A lot of the times they're smaller level projects because we want to maximize those federal dollars whenever we can. But they'll be small pavement projects, maybe less than a mile, maybe some guardrail work or some large scale pavement preservation like a chip seal. They're usually not as big as like a bridge replacement or a road, 10 miles of interstate getting paved. That's the federal stuff for sure.
When we talk about these projects, again, especially here in Southeast Wyoming, whether it's Cheyenne, whether it's Laramie, again, we got a lot of interstate, a lot of highway out there. We do have big events, though, at least that construction time frame. We're getting Cheyenne Frontier Days here in July. You got Cowboy football. We're getting a lot of folks from Cheyenne travel I-80, go over to Laramie to go see Cowboy football. And I guess pressure might not be the correct word, but I mean, how does WYDOT keep an eye out on that? Or, again, do we alter projects, or do we try to get within that time frame to avoid CFD, to avoid Cowboy football? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, we do suspend construction during large events. During CFD, all of our projects were put on pause just to accommodate for the higher volume of people in town, and we didn't want to inconvenience them more than we had been. Cowboy football, we do a construction report every weekend. We know there's going to be a home game, and even with the border war that we do kind of pay attention to any of those items. So we really do have eyes on it. I know Jubilee Day, we suspended all of our construction projects for those as well. We're very conscious. We get our we require our construction contractors when they submit their schedules right at the beginning of our pre-cons. We do notice the dates, Labor Day weekend, any sort of holiday weekend. But then also there's the pressure to continue work. So, you got to play that balance where we don't want some active project that doesn't look like anything's happening. So we do have a delicate balance of wanting to be respectful of the communities, but also get these projects wrapped up in a timely fashion.
Want to ask about, we're here in Cheyenne, we have the intersection I-80, I-25, we have that cloverleaf, and it's more so the argument comes up when, again, the busy times, again, summer travel, especially around CFD, that cloverleaf becomes a little scary, a little at least congested out there. Again, folks trying to merge on or merge off, again, try to get their destination. Is there thoughts, projects, or, again, has WYDOT taken a look at what alternatives possibly to look at to make that cloverleaf a little bit better when we do get into that high travel time?
100%. We have been looking at that interchange for quite some time because we know that it is a little outdated for the amount of traffic that are using it. That being said, it is another one of those monumental cost projects that we're probably going to need to phase. And we're even just phasing the design of it and looking for federal grants to help cover that because, we'd rather be spending the money we would be spending on that on the roads on more immediate issues, because right now current estimates project just redoing that interchange, and if you include the Lincoln Way, because it's so close to that interchange, the Lincoln Way exit, as well as I-25, I-80, it would be about the same as nearly 2 years of our whole construction budget. And that would mean not doing anything anywhere else in the state, and we don't think that's right. So we're looking for grants and things to help minimize that cost to help try to get it done. But we don't expect any progress in the near future.
On top of the Clover Relief Project, when again it does happen here in the city of Cheyenne, where we go look down to our neighbors down in Colorado, again, the umpteenth 10-year project right now to expand I-25 down there through the Rocky Mountain Corridor. Is there at least thoughts, or again, looking down to the expansion down in Colorado, that Cheyenne, Wyoming needs to catch up, or we might need to expand to 3 lanes on I-25? Is there those thoughts right now, or is Cheyenne pretty happy with the 2-lane for I-25?
You know, right now, Cheyenne, the I-25 and US 85 corridors from Cheyenne to the Front Range are very heavily traveled. There's like 30,000 trips per day on those total, both, together. So we do keep an eye on it. That being said, we are in that preservation mode, like I mentioned. So any sort of capacity improvement is a little lower on our priority list than trying to maintain what we have and keep everything we have in working order. So I think, I don't see anything like that coming down the horizon. But with the growth the Front Range is experiencing, I won't count anything out.
Talking about that I-25 Colorado campaign kind of reminds me of a Seinfeld episode. Art Vandelay, the architect, is the one who's put that together. That's like going through a mouse maze half the time from Fort Collins all the way down to past Loveland. Real quick, Andrea, I'm going to bring you back on, taking a look at 2023. What is our biggest project? And again, I think we encountered one last year, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong. We were on 85 where it was shut down. We had to sit and wait a little bit before we could move on. Remember, they were laying some...
No idea. I don't remember.
Well,
but
we were stopped on the road for quite a bit. But anyway, my question is, what is the longest project? And again, too, if it's a 50-mile project, do you do it like an 8-mile stretches? How do you break those projects down?
Our projects aren't normally more than about 10 miles at the most. We don't tend to have a large stretch that's inconveniencing. Our largest one that we have right now would be the Cherry Ranch project and the Union Pacific Railroad bridge replacement. And the scope of that's going to be from mile marker 0 to about 5.6. We kind of like staying in that cushion. But as you all know, we have our winter freight project that has been going on multi-year, and that's probably in our corner, the longest. There's quite a few factors that are still in play, and that's getting wrapped up hopefully here shortly. But we don't tend to go, I don't think I've seen one more than about between 5 to 10 miles. We like to keep it kind of...
And as Jordan, go ahead and you can grab the mic. What I was going to ask was also, too, construction outfits. Does the state have their own, or do we contract out to various construction outfits throughout the state of Wyoming, or even outside of the state?
We bid all our projects to the lowest bidder, so it can be in-state or out-of-state construction. If it's a purely state-funded project, the in-state bidders will get a preference, but on federal projects, it's everyone treated equally. So we do see some, regional contractors who might be based in South Dakota or Nebraska or Idaho, and then we see some locally, Wyoming-based as well, quite a bit. And then to go back to your waiting for a construction project, I just thought I'd bring up, we do see, not as much on the interstate because it's 2-lane, but on those 2-lane highways, when you're working on 1 lane, there's only one other lane as an option to drive on. So we do see those pilot cars that lead traffic, and that can create some pretty long delays. And we know that can be very inconvenient for people, but it's really the only way we have to both work on the road and keep it open. Oh, I'm sorry. So those do come up, especially on the 2-lane. So I recommend when people are planning their travel in the summer, if they're taking 2 lanes, to maybe to take into consideration potential construction delays.
He was probably sleeping when I encountered the pilot car last year.
Anyways, on top, but again, as we keep on the theme with construction, where again, post-pandemic, where again we talk about supply chain issues, we talk about lack of bodies in the workforce. Again, construction has been hit by that as well too. Have we seen any correlation here in the state of Wyoming regarding our construction projects of time frame taking a little bit longer due to the fact that we're missing bodies, we're missing supplies, we're missing cement or this or that? Have we seen correlation over the past couple of years?
Yeah, definitely. It's impacted, I feel, every industry, especially the construction industry. We've had, delays with projects just purely because we were missing. First thing that comes to mind is we did some new signalization projects in Laramie and in Cheyenne. Cheyenne was the Yellowstone and 4 Mile. There's a new signal there. It was supposed to be completed in about August, and it wasn't completed until, I believe, November, purely because we were waiting on some steel, I think, for one of the light posts, and it just kept getting delayed. There was nothing anybody could do, so it was sort of stalled, and that's very commonplace, unfortunately. It's reality that all of our guys, contractors, our resident engineers, all of our construction techs have to deal with all the time. So.
If you did a Google Earth right now of Wyoming, which area really is in, I guess I'll use the word dire need of road repair? Again, state highway or, again, part of an interstate. What part of the state right now looks like, wow, this needs our immediate attention?
We get calls all the time from people who insist it's their section right in front of their house, so it's kind of hard to say what we get calls about the most. Definitely portions of I-80 do get attention, just potholes and things pop up, and suddenly it's way worse than it was just a month ago. But I think I hear a different highway, and anytime I talk to someone different, and each district has their own little areas. I know there's that section of, I think it's 487 north of Medicine Bow to Casper that can get a little roller coastery. So I've heard that one quite a bit. But I think too it depends on the driver and their comfort with different types of roads. But it depending on who's calling, I hear a different road every day.
How many miles? You mentioned 400 miles earlier in our conversation, but Wyoming, how many highway interstate miles do you have to maintain?
Don't quote me on an exact number, but I want to say it's a little over 6,000.
Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah, and it's a lot of rural areas with
We've probably driven that, huh, Nick? In our career.
Yeah.
Especially with baseball coming up, absolutely with post 6. But I want to get into, again, regarding WYDOT, where this is kind of a little tongue-in-cheek, but again, we see, especially I-25, I-80, hey, we've seen in recent years the uptick in speed, again, at least with I-25 going north, 80 miles per hour. Some parts of I-80 does have that 80, but again, it fluctuates, and again, we have those at least variable speed limit signs, especially as you see going over to Laramie. What's kind of the determining factor for interstates, highways, for those upping or slowing, or the determining factor for speed limits on our various roads here in the state of Wyoming?
It's actually a really interesting process our engineers kind of go through to determine what a safe speed will be, and it takes into account the topography, of course, how far you can see, what the road is like as far as is it pretty straight the whole time? Does it curve a lot? Is it going through mountains? Is it going up and down? And then they also take into consideration like the speed that people naturally want to drive on that road. And then they also take into consideration that people will probably speed past the speed limit. So if the speed limit is 40, they know a lot of people might go 45. So a lot of that plays into how they actually do, their mathematical algorithm to determine what the speed limit should be. It takes a lot of engineering and finesse, more than I expected, to be honest, before I started working here.
Could it ever be a reality? And we saw it with the state of Montana. Granted, they've been away from it for about a couple decades now, but Montana had, again, it was kind of go as you please on that interstate throughout that state. There has been not a major cry, but again, you see it on social media of, hey, during the summertime, why should it be 80? Let me just go as fast as I can, especially just how spread out the state is. Could there ever be a point in time in Wyoming's history, again, whether in my lifetime or in the future, and again, obviously that's kind of using a crystal ball, but I guess within the next decade, could there ever be a possibility that it's, hey, on I-25, especially during the summertime, go as fast as you want to get as fast as you want up to Casper?
That would certainly be up to the legislature. We kind of go with whatever they decide was safe for Wyoming. But I will say that, as the faster you go, the more unsafe you're getting. If you're going 80 miles an hour, your chances of a fatality are going to be much higher than 30 miles an hour. So when you start looking at other driver behaviors like texting and driving distracted in general, driving impaired, or any one of those, the faster you're allowed to go, the greater chances there are of something tragic happen. So that would be my only concern potentially with that. But, I think Wyoming is very much a place of personal responsibility, so I could see it potentially getting at least discussed.
It's interesting here in Cheyenne, and again, we are Cheyenne, also Laramie County at the same time, state of Wyoming. Talk about how many highways we've got going through here. I mean, I think of, going off Lincoln Way, it empties off at the Highway 30. Is Del Range a highway? I mean, is Lincoln Way, West Lincoln Way a highway? How many highways do we have just alone here in the city that the state of Wyoming WYDOT has to take care of?
Well, and there's another layer of complexity to it because there's a huge difference in construction and then snow plowing. Like, just trying to think of one, College Drive, I guess. A lot of it we will construct, we will pave, we maintain. But in the winter, some of it is actually the county or the city's job to plow. So we work really closely with our local governments to make sure that, we're all working together in harmony and that everything's going smoothly both in the winter and the summer as far as keeping those roads maintained. And then if you look at the smaller towns like maybe a Pine Bluffs, that kind of agreement's much different because they might not have the city resources that Cheyenne might have. So we take every town, we do it specific to the town and not just like a one size fits all.
Legislature's in session right now. What is WYDOT's role when the legislature gets together, whether it's a budgetary session or, again, general session like we're in right now? Do we have folks that are spokespeople for WYDOT that go before the legislature asking for various monies or giving a state of the state to the state? I guess I'll throw it that way.
We certainly have employees that talk with the legislature, explain the impact bills might have. Either way, whether beneficial or maybe have a consequence the legislature wasn't thinking of. So we're definitely open and honest about ways that bills might impact us, but we can't lobby. So we don't ask for things. We don't ask for funding unless it's a specific thing that we think will better the state. And even then, it's not quite a lobbying effort as much of
and the reason I brought that up because I remember toll roads were always brought up in conversation but never have gone anywhere, and then gasoline taxes, again, a myriad of things. But do we foresee in the future maybe a toll road? Again, I-80, I-25, I know we encountered a bunch of them on our way down to Tulsa through the state of Kansas and Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. So again, do we see that just dying? It's just something that was brought forth. Forget about it. We're not going to go that route.
It certainly comes up almost every year, at least since I've been with WYDOT, and it's something we keep the dialogue open about. We're definitely interested in potential revenue for I-80, but to help maintain it. But we understand that there are some reserves about the tolling, and to be honest, it'll take a long time to implement, even if it were passed, to get the rules in place and to get the feds on board and everything. So we're kind of just waiting and seeing how that one plays out. Like you said, a lot of bills touch WYDOT, whether it's the driver services side or the vehicle registration side or the actual construction stuff. So we are we're pretty involved in the legislature process. We have someone down there almost every day, but we're more of an informational role and just kind of waiting and seeing what the legislature decides is best for the state.
Jordan, as you brought up in a previous conversation and earlier, again, fatalities here in the state of Wyoming were, again, with the safety measures implemented, especially here in the wintertime, we see on the placards of, hey, you see drunk driver, again, report them into Highway Patrol or, again, local PD. Fatalities, I guess going back to 2022, do we see fatalities rise, fall, kind of stay the same of previous years past? Let's talk a little bit about that.
We do tend to see fatality rates fluctuate year to year. It's for a myriad of reasons, whether, like I said, driver behavior is always a factor, but then also sometimes just if we have a harsh winter or not can drastically impact the stats. I don't remember an exact statistic for last year, but I know we tend to hover just over 100 fatalities a year, which is probably, of course, higher than we'd like, but given our population, I think it's not terrible.
Unfortunately, we're not off to a good start here in 2023, especially with the situation that happened outside of Rollins, if I'm not mistaken. Real quick, as we get ready to wrap things up, told you ladies this would go by fast. Things that WYDOT would like to pass along to our listeners. Again, the ice and snow, take it slow. Things, especially during wintertime, some suggestions. I think more of the locals pretty much know to hunker down, but if you have to travel from point A to point B, give us some suggestions.
Of course, yeah. Like you said, taking it slow is a huge one. If you are driving slower, you have much more time to react to potential hazards ahead of you, a crash or anything, and slow down in time, because it takes so much longer to slow down and stop when there's ice and snow covered roads compared to a dry road in the summer. We also recommend watching out for hazards you might not expect, like wildlife or people that are stuck in the road or whatever. If you do get stuck, we recommend staying in your car. We hate to see the fatalities where people get out of their car and get hit by someone who doesn't see them in time. It's also safer from a warmth standpoint, exposure to the elements. And we recommend packing that emergency kit for your car, making sure you have food, water, supplies to help you get unstuck, supplies to help keep you warm. And then we also recommend making sure your exhaust pipe is clear of snow if you are sticking with your car. We hate to see those incidents with carbon monoxide becoming an issue with people doing what they were supposed to do, staying with their car, and it meets a tragic end that way as well.
Final question for me, and again, appreciate both of you coming in, giving us the insight on WYDOT's operation, especially just what it affects here in the state of Wyoming, especially here, Cheyenne to Laramie. But, for those folks as well, too, that, again, are driving on our roadways who might be a little unhappy if they find a pothole here or a sign down, whatever it may be. Again, if there's an issue regarding our roadways, what's the best way for our citizens to at least get a hold of WYDOT or at least reach out and say, hey, here's an issue. Hopefully you can at least fix it for us.
I'll pass that.
We have a couple ways that you can contact us, but the best, honestly, would be to utilize our website is wyoroad.info, and also our 511 app. You can send photos. You can see if there's hazards upcoming, if there's crashes coming up, the road conditions. Also in the summertime, we have filters to show you where the construction zones are. So it's a wonderful resource to utilize. It's updated in real time, and there's also contact that you can get in touch with us directly if there is a hazard or something that needs to be reported. And it also is where you can find our WTAP program if you do not have the authorization for the rolling closures that we had kind of discussed earlier in the program. You can sign up for that there as well. So it's an endless resource, and we utilize it heavily. We really appreciate the public utilizing that. It answers a lot of questions just right there before you even have to kind of reach out to anybody.
District 1 Public Involvement Specialist, Andrea Staley, Deputy Public Affairs Officer Jordan Ox, joining us here from the Wyoming Department of Transportation. Pass along my sincere thank you to Doug McGee, who decided not to come in. But you know what? You probably did a much better job than he would have done. You tell him that, and I will be broke. Anyway, but thank you so much again for coming in and talking about WYDOT. Again, questions that we need to know, especially during wintertime, what we can look forward to 2023. Again, orange barrels will be very prevalent here coming up within the next month. So again, thank you so much, and congratulations on a job well done. Pass along our thanks to those guys that are out there moving that snow. It's a thankless job, but we thank them for the effort they do. Yes. All right, you are listening to 1480 KRAE. This is KRAE Reports, a Week in Review. We are back after these words.
The next time you have a craving for authentic Mexican cuisine, visit Hacienda Guadalajara at 317 East Lincoln Way. Locally owned and operated, they serve their dishes with family tried and true recipes, with the freshest of ingredients, made to order. Start off your meal with their complimentary chips, salsa, and bean dip. And if you're feeling adventurous, enjoy your favorite margarita or cerveza. Hacienda Guadalajara, where the spice is always nice.
Capital Lumber is lumber one in Cheyenne. Are you listening? We're all the lumber store you'll ever need. For electrical, plumbing, paint, and tools, lumber and hardware, we're for you. And we're out to earn your business, yes indeed. Capital Lumber is lumber one today. Are you listening? Capital Lumber's at your service all the way.
Since 1966, Cheyenne and Laramie County has depended on and trusted family-owned and operated Capital Lumber Company for all your lumber and hardware needs at 1222 Dunn Avenue in Cheyenne.
At the Cheyenne Regional Heart and Vascular Institute, you're welcomed with the warmth of a community hospital and cared for with help from the most advanced technology in the industry. With our full spectrum of in-house heart services and procedures, you can get the treatment you need, recover, and get right back out there, all while remaining close to home. Find out more at CheyenneRegional.org/heart.
Now that the colder weather is upon us, it's more important than ever to make sure that your brakes on your vehicle are operating at 100%. So if you noticed a grinding or squeaky noise every time you brake, then it's high time you stop into the Brake Stop at 1622 East Lincoln Way, where Wayne and his crew will fit your car or truck with the best brakes to go along with best service and the best price. Wherever your travels take you, and whatever weather conditions Mother Nature throws at you, you can always feel confident that the brakes on your vehicle came from the Brake Stop. Call 307-514-6231 or drop by to 1622 East Lincoln Way in Cheyenne.
For almost 60 years, 1480 KRAE has been Cheyenne's home for good times and great oldies. Add to that live play-by-play sports featuring high school football and basketball, along with LCCC men's and women's basketball. Now combo that with KYOY-FM and you have Cheyenne and the area's only locally owned AM and FM radio stations. But we don't stop there. We also have 2 FM translators which serve the area with programming from both KRAE and KYOY. And that equals a lot of bang for your advertising dollar. Radio yesterday and now today, along with our websites, web streams, and digital ventures, makes us your one-stop shop. For more information, please call Larry Proetti at 307-637-0301.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 KRAE.
Other happenings on tap for today, partly to mostly sunny and windy, expected daytime high near 35. Winds out of a northwest direction, 35 to 40, gusting as high as 55. Partly cloudy and blustery for tonight, a low down to 19 degrees. Sunny for tomorrow, we're calling for a daytime high near 41. And for Tuesday night, mostly clear and breezy, our low down to 22 degrees.
This is 1480 KRAE Cheyenne.
It's time now for something new for you. It's KRAE Reports, a week in review. And now let's check in with our program right here on 1480 KRAE Cheyenne.
Once again, thank you to Andrea and Jordan for joining us from the Wyoming Department of Transportation. Interesting stuff over the hour. You know, again, for those that have lived here for a long time, pretty much just common sense when you're out on the roads, especially during the wintertime, Nick. And again, to just take a look at some of the projects. Because, again, I know some of us kind of scratch your head and go, gosh, weren't they working on that last year? And, you know, again,
and some projects feel like that. Yeah,
but you know, the wear and tear, the elements here just, I think, just eat up our roads. I mean, let's take a look at, you know, for example, you got plows, you got sand and gravel and salt. You know, it just can't be doing those roads a lot of justice, especially when you're repairing.
But they also, too, again, with both of them coming in, answered a lot of kind of the questions that have been brought up over recent months, especially as we see with the closures, we see with the construction, we see with the, you know, upcoming traffic trends that are, especially here in Cheyenne, where, again, we know we're having a population boost, which, again, we'll get into that story here in a little bit. But, you know, it's something that, again, they're listening to the outcries. They know what's going on. Again, regarding the I-80 project going north, ideally, hey, that probably, as Jordan kind of alluded to, yeah, would help getting away from those mountains. But again, it's a costly venture that, again, is the state willing to spend? Probably not right now at this point in time. So it is what it is. Again, the Cloverleaf project here in town between I-25 and I-80, again, they are looking at that. But, again, it's kind of on the bottom tier of the list. So it is kind of just maintaining and keeping things rolling here in the state of Wyoming. So, but answered a lot of questions. Again, the rolling closures, which, again, have been a new thing. But, you know, again, to at least make sure supplies are available, whether it's hotels, gas, food for the various cities. Again, it's more so for Laramie. But either way, again, answered a lot of questions and a lot of recent topics that have been brought up again regarding our roads that a lot of folks have had a lot of concerns about.
Well, and you mentioned rolling closures also too. They've also have instituted, for example, on Happy Jack Road is closed local, through true traffic, local traffic only, because people need to get in and back and forth to work. And it may be closed from Cheyenne all the way to the...
Your through traffic is, again, you still have to respect those gates being down on Happy Jack. But, again, the through traffic, as they alluded to, and something that I've already signed up for, is that WTAP, at least program, the authorization program, where, again, it allows you to at least get to, again, Laramie or, again, your destination to get past those gates. But, again, it's just to a specific destination, not travel I-80 as willy-nilly as you want. It's pretty much get to your destination, and beyond that, it's illegal. So that program is available for folks. Again, if you are commuting back and forth here to Laramie, Buford, whatever it may be, live on those various, at least, highways or, again, through I-80. So there is that option, that authorization program that's available. But, again, it's more for the rolling closure, not so much when it's hazard conditions on I-80, which, again, we saw that at least get hit hard. Last weekend or again past week. So
it's been hard pretty much all throughout the winter.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, but either way, though, again, very informative. And again, appreciate them coming in and giving us the update of, again, WYDOT of what they got going on during the wintertime, especially with this heavy winter happening. And again, the upcoming projects, again, construction projects, especially happening here in Cheyenne, as they alluded to. Again, the big concern is that pedestrian bridge that goes back and forth central McCormick across I-25. So it makes sense that they will be working on that. So anticipate at least a little slowdown coming up here in a few short months, heading north or again going south on I-25.
It's interesting. Last week we had Tim Bradshaw in from the Cheyenne Regional Airport and talking about the runway closure. And, didn't even think to ask him about that question, especially now that it was brought up.
No, we talked about it regarding the Thunderbirds, and ironic again where this announcement came about a day or two right behind our interview with Tim, saying F.E. Warren Air Force Base basically said, hey, sorry, we got a bunch of issues right now with the runway here in town. And again, where in years past, or at least past 2 years, I do believe that, again, the Thunderbirds have been taken off from Loveland Regional Airport. It became a concern. It became an issue, especially regarding DIA airspace for the Thunderbirds, that F.E. Warren basically said, 2023, Thunderbirds are no more, at least for this year.
Right.
That, again, don't expect that Wednesday air show anymore, just due to the fact that, again, this runway project that has been ongoing for a couple of years now, which will continue here this summertime, and again, will end, at least remember from at least Tim's conversation, September, or at least tentative for September. But again, with all this project going on, again, remodeling the main runway at Cheyenne Regional Airport, basically F.E. Warren and the Air Force Thunderbird said, we just can't do it.
There's not a safety net, so to speak, runway for them to, and heaven forbid anything ever happens. It's interesting, though, too, Nick, in our lifetime, again, you and me, and obviously I'm been here a little longer than you, second time that they've had to cancel. And it's been recently over the last few years now that
one was pandemic, the other this one is now just due to the runway. So again, surprising, or at least not surprising, but again, it does hurt a little bit. Again, the Thunderbirds not being here in China it doesn't add to the theatrics of Frontier Days, but again,
it does.
But I'm just saying it's a small part of, again, are folks traveling to Cheyenne to see the Air Force Thunderbird show, or are they coming here for the rodeo action for the night concerts? Again,
it's part of Cheyenne Day on Wednesday.
Will this cancellation of the Air Force Thunderbirds alter monies coming up here July 2023? It might a little bit, but it is not the biggest reason why folks are traveling out to Cheyenne, to at least be a part of that full week for Cheyenne Frontier Days. Again, it might take away from the local travel, again, whether it's those folks coming in Nebraska, Colorado to come up and travel and see it for the day, but that's going to be the only revenue that's going to be lost, which, again, I think is a small percentage compared to the giant picture that is Frontier Days. It sucks that they won't be here.
Right.
But, again, does it drastically alter Frontier Days? Will folks all of a sudden start changing their plans to not come out here because of that?
No, I don't think so. But economically, yeah, it will have it'll have a little bit of an impact. Because, again, too, like you said.
I think minuscule.
Well, yeah, but it's also, like I said, Wednesdays when they perform Cheyenne Day. So, again, at whatever 9 o'clock, 9:30 they perform, and then they're done by 11. Everybody's off at noon. Basically, the city comes. It's right after the pancake breakfast, so the city kind of comes to a standstill while they're performing, and then after that, the city pretty much closes down except for bars and eateries. So, and then again with Cheyenne Day, you're hoping that the locals will head on out to the park.
All it is it's one part of tradition that, again, is away for a year, and hopefully that's just it. It's just for a year here in town. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised that, again, we've had CEO Tom Hersey again, that committee crew for Cheyenne Frontier Days. They're probably hard at work right now figuring out what could we do to fill this Cheyenne Day void that no longer the Air Force Thunderbirds occupy in years past. What do we do? What could we introduce to, at least for a unique time, do something for, again, attendees of CFD and, again, for local residents or those who are excited for that Thunderbird show? I wouldn't be surprised if they announce or maybe look into something as an addition due to the loss of the Thunderbirds. But like I said, again, the revenue, does this change Frontier Days? No. That it will still be busy. It will still be successful. This is a minuscule impact. Again, all of it is. It's heartbreaking. It sucks. But does it alter that week here in July?
Well,
no.
And also too, I think back to the static displays, and I remember when you and your sister were little, we'd go out to the airport and see all of the aircraft that would come in. So again, from a tourist standpoint or even a local standpoint, those things are lost for the year. And again, too, you look back to the pandemic, we lost Frontier Days for a year. So, again, I'm with you in an agreement that, yeah, it's not going to be an economic downfall, and people are not going to come to Cheyenne Frontier Days because the Thunderbirds, they're part of the Daddy Mall. They are a tradition of the Daddy Mall. And again, too, like I said, it goes hand in hand with Cheyenne Day. It comes right out of the pancake breakfast. We go right into that, and then pretty much everybody calls it a day.
Yeah.
And you enjoy the festivities of Cheyenne Frontier Day. So, got a little disruption this year. That's about it.
And hopefully it doesn't lead into next year, because if it does, regional airport, again, it's becoming a costly venture where why is this taking so long? And again, that has been the question right now. And again, thankfully we had Tim Bradshaw come in and explain what is going on at that airport. But again, this is an adventure where, again, it's minuscule economic impact compared to the larger picture of Cheyenne Frontier Days, but it's still economic, at least monies that, again, the city would love to have, again, for those who would travel on in. So right now, again, this regional airport kind of, again, those problems hopefully don't get bigger and larger from this, even though, again, we are dealing with no flights in and out of Cheyenne due to this. Again, that those potential dollars coming in on those various United flights, or at least via SkyWest. But again, it's kind of becoming a slippery slope right now with this runway project that, again, has been going on for around 4 years now. That has been altered, and again, Tim alluded to it of, hey, that construction doesn't end in September 22, at least 2023. They got to redo that airport, at least that runway, at a point in time, because, as he alluded to, that construction, that concrete, was not up to par for our standards. So we already have issues that are stemming for not just here in 23, but again for years down the line.
Well, and it kind of sucks in this respect too, because we went to the voters and said, "Hey, we need a new terminal."
Which we got.
Man, we got the new terminal. And then it also sucks, too, because you got people that want to come into the new terminal simply for the fact that, hey, we got air service, and my business can benefit by this air service and travelers and maybe, a daily impact of people coming in. But yeah, when it's down, it really kind of defeats the purpose. So again, you're sitting there with this brand new facility and nothing really going on with it. And again, like I said, I know there's a pizza parlor out there and what have you, but it kind of defeats its purpose. And to me, it seems like, wow, we sure spent a lot of money on what?
Another kind of albatross that just sits there at this point where it is a little concerning, and hopefully this can get done by the time frame that they are estimating. But again, what is your confidence that it will? And we shall see. Again, September time, will it be done? Hopefully it is. But again, what will be the ramifications? We see it here a little bit. Again, it's more so of a luxury of, again, having the Air Force Thunderbirds perform here in town. But again, now loss of that. SkyWest flights for the time being. Who knows what else can at least ripple effect from this runway closure and construction project that's still ongoing over there at the regional airport. But anyways, we talked about that. Again, want to give the update that, again, Air Force Thunderbirds not here this year. Hopefully we'll be back again. This is not a trend of they will be gone forever. No, it's just this year. And again, it just depends on how that runway is by 2024, July time then, if they will return back to Cheyenne. So hopefully they will. Hopefully this project is done. But again, only time will tell. As I alluded to early on, do want to mention again, we saw at least an article by the Wyoming Tribune-Eagle that at least kind of specifying. We won't spend a whole lot of time on this. We knew this was happening. We've had, again, people in kind of speaking upon, again, the population increase, where basically studies showed, again, where at least the Tribune-Eagle kind of looked into it, that at least Wyoming saw the population influx mostly from the state of Colorado. Over the past at least couple of years due to the pandemic. No surprise. And again, there's no surprise as well, too, for folks who may have come out to this area, set up camp here in Cheyenne, and probably travel on down to the Front Range. Again, we see a lot of those folks, again, make that commute. I-25, Fort Collins, Loveland, Denver, if so. And again, at least set up shop here in Cheyenne. So is this surprising with this find? Again, this article put out by the Tribune-Eagle? Not really. Expect this. Had a feeling that was the case. And what it does or what it means, and again, as we talk about the housing situation and the cost of living here, especially in the city of Cheyenne, this obviously contributes it in a big way with, again, the influx of residents coming not even just to Cheyenne, but again, Laramie County or throughout the entire state of Wyoming.
Well, and again, too, when the pandemic hit full force, and Wyoming, similar to South Dakota, South Dakota maintained a business as usual type of attitude. Wyoming fell behind a little bit, but California still, to a certain degree, is still sitting in pandemic mode.
Certain areas.
And Colorado stayed in pretty much pandemic mode. I'm not going to play.
I don't know what part of Colorado you've been to, but again, I was just down there, and they're far.
I'm talking about.
I'm just saying right now, 2023, Colorado is no longer a pandemic. Again,
I know, but Jared Polis back in 2020, Nick, kind of shut down Colorado, and people were kind of.
And other states did too. Yeah,
I know, but I'm not trying to play politics. But some people said, "I don't need this. I'm out of here." And
did that contribute to, again, those folks, again, residents moving out of that state to again, example, to Wyoming?
Taxes,
yeah, without a doubt.
Taxes, housing.
I think it's more the economic.
Yeah, taxes, housing. You can go right down the list.
Hell, right now, Colorado, as of right now, is very mirroring California, where, again, they have implemented a 10-cent bag tax on plastic bags. Again, that is not just grocery store, but, again, for any business that offers, again, a bag. Again, there's a bag tax. There's a sugar tax now added down there, or at least I do believe within Boulder County. But it is something that, again, you're starting to see the California vacation
influence
to Colorado, again, with the high cost of living, with the uptick in housing, food, taxes on top of that. Again, I think the pandemic did a little bit, or at least like shutdowns probably influenced some to get out of that state. But I think it's just more the cost of living and, again, the economics where, again, money does not go as far down in that state compared to here in the state of Wyoming. So,
and I think politics plays a little bit as well.
Well, again,
too,
look to
Nick.
northern Colorado. That, again, a lot of them kind of sit, or at least majority of those folks, especially in the rural parts, probably sit ideologically similar to most residents here in the state of Wyoming. So, again, what's going to be better? You come up to the redder state, you can move out of Colorado and see if your money and again, your freedoms are a lot better here than they are down there in Colorado, which, again, that's what's going on. Again, economic, though, the impact about this, though, we're feeling it here, especially in Cheyenne. Again, look at prices, look at housing. Housing has been the biggest issue since the pandemic. Again, whether it's homes, whether it is apartments, trailers, I do believe as well, too. We've seen that impact on top of that. That, again, those costs are starting to get a little, at least they're skyrocketing just due to the fact that, again, we're getting this influx.
Land in general, because
and that's kind of
the influx, So, I don't know what the answer is. Wyoming has a lot of land. Let's first, but again, do you really want to live out at Elk Mountain? And again, I'm not dissing on Elk Mountain or Arlington, but again, you want to be in kind of a metro area similar to Cheyenne or Casper, but where services are available. And that's where a lot of these people, again, we know the California influence is moving to Jackson. Well, Jackson's, 10,000 plus people.
But Jackson also too has one of the highest just housing rates, not even just in the state, but again across the nation. And again, it's feeling it. Where again, that's the concern. And again, we've talked about this for many a year now, where the issue with this influx of residents, where again it brings new money in without a doubt, but it hurts current residents as well, where we've seen again with the cost of living now has significantly upticked. And again, on top of the economic conditions with inflation, but again, especially regarding housing, with the lack of it as well. And that's kind of the crux of this whole situation, is that Cheyenne was not prepared for this influx.
Right.
You're seeing it with Casper, Laramie to an extent, but again, this influx of those Colorado residents coming up north now, it's made a significant impact. And again, it's kind of hurt locals more than it has done good, at least in my opinion.
One of the reasons, too, for the rise or the surge in population, again, whether you're coming from the left coast or you're coming from south in Colorado, think about it, Nick. Let's talk about taxes. Again, California, getting up there like New York with one of the highest tax rates. Again, talk about state tax. There is no state tax here in Wyoming. Colorado has state taxes, which are going up. So again, and again, property taxes here in Wyoming probably a hell of a lot better than Colorado and California, especially California.
Wyoming's got one of the lowest rates.
But with the Californians moving into Jackson, it's still a better deal for them moving to Jackson.
But I'm just saying, again, as much as, yes, it's good to see, again, population increase and, again, brings new monies in. It brings in potential new jobs, small businesses in. Again, there's a lot of positive that comes with the influx of residents. But, again, you're starting to see where it is hurting, especially in this small state, this small populated state, that cities are not at least up to snuff. And, again, including here in the Cap City, we're clearly not up to snuff to at least facilitate this influx of residents here in town. Again, look at the housing crisis that has been going on now in year 3. We talked with the housing committee and saying, hey, we're still behind. We got thousands of residents still trying to apply for affordable housing here in this, at least in the city of Cheyenne. So that is kind of my main concern. As much as, yes, love to see the population rise out here. And again, it brings new opportunities in the future. But right now, in this current state where we are not properly equipped for this influx, it's benefiting it's benefiting the outsiders more than it's benefiting local citizens.
If I recall right, that Cheyenne expected a boom in population, but I think
not as fast and not as much.
The boom came quicker. Again, aided by the pandemic and today's economics. I think the boom came quicker because, again, you have operations here in Cheyenne like Leeds that are wooing businesses to come to the Cap City. And again, why are businesses coming to the Cap City? Tax rate. Taxes are so
affordable,
yeah. So again, with that, you're bringing in your people, and you also are hiring, with the community. So the boom came a lot quicker, and I think we were not prepared for this boom. Like you said,
clearly,
housing is
the biggest mess.
I don't want to say it's a premium, but
it sure as hell feels like it right now. We're getting housing, and again, go back to what I just mentioned. And again, we've had those individuals, whether it was Mayor Collins, whether it was representatives of the housing authority here in town. There's been that concern of, again, we got this big waiting list. And again, we see, again, look at housing listing right now. Those percentages of, again, what the costs have gone up significantly.
I understand that, but there are houses and facilities available. So again,
but they're clearing the market quick.
And the thing is too, if you want to pay what people are asking for, then you should have no problems. And again, we're only dictating what the market says. So again, if your home, you bought it for $100,000, and right now the market says it's worth $350,000, doggone it, you better get $350,000 for it, right? It's a premium. Your home is a premium right now. So if you are an owner and you are looking to sell, yeah, it's a seller's market right now, because there's somebody who's going to snatch it up in a day or two.
But who's buying up those properties right now? Again, it might be a few
people
local.
It might
be a few. Again, I think that's what I'm kind of getting to, is that it's more so of people looking to move out here, and for those local citizens that want to buy within at least this community or again the county or whatever the hell it may be, are kind of getting pushed away from it. I think that's the main concern from my aspect, is that outsiders are benefiting more than locals are right now, where locals are getting hurt by this. And hopefully in due time, as right now it looks like, or at least from what I've seen, at least on the economic side, that again, that housing market should burst. We've seen it right now with the cars, at least industry. I do believe with, again, as we saw the high prices with pre-owned cars, that's kind of taken a step back as well too. So hopefully trend kind of goes the same on housing, especially here in the town, that let this little balloon happen right now, this elevated prices happen now. Hopefully in about a couple 6-8 months or within a year, it kind of gets back to that normal level. We shall see, especially as we're now out of the pandemic, and folks who kind of stayed within their state borders during those times probably might still be happy within those state borders, especially as now we're past the pandemic.
Well, and I'm looking at buyers and sellers probably are your biggest benefactors right now. If you
more
are
sellers.
If you are a renter,
I think more sellers.
If you are a renter, then you are.
I think you're a renter. You're getting screwed too.
Yeah, I think you're pretty hosed right now. So again, like I said, it's a buyer-seller market right now.
I mean, there's studio apartments that again I've seen listed here in Cheyenne that are going to about $1,000. I was paying less than that a few years ago down in Denver for more square footage. This is Cheyenne, Wyoming. We should not be paying Denver prices here in this small metro, at least kind of metropolitan area, compared to the likes of Fort Collins.
It's a luxury right now. It's a luxury.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but you know what? What are they asking for in Denver? Hey, if you want it, come up here and get it.
Yeah.
So, like I said,
hopefully this bubble burst soon of, again, the housing costs.
I don't see it.
I think it could. I think it should.
I don't see it, especially in today's economy.
I think as pandemic has settled down now, folks are, again, it seemed like that influx was more tied in during pandemic times, 2020, 2021, 2022. As now we're past that, life is back to normal. Got to imagine that, again, that influx might be leveling, if not trickling down, possibly here in the state of Wyoming, where folks just might be happy where they are now. I don't know.
I think we are part of the whole economy of the U.S. right now. And the economy of the U.S. is not good. It's inflationary. And again, here in Wyoming, I think a lot of people should be very happy they're part of Wyoming. Because, again, we avoid some of that national garbage that goes on. Some of it. I'm not saying all of it, Nick.
It's minuscule, yeah.
But again, too, those that are being hit hardest are the Colorados, the Californias of the world. And they're looking for another outlet right now because, again, it's getting to the point where they can't afford to be in those typical locations. So, again, jobs are plenty out here in this part of the world.
Yeah.
Taxes are low in this part of the world. And again, I think anybody, when you say the word taxes, probably jumps at, hey, if I could save $1, I'm on it.
Like I said, taxes are a small equation to at least to the whole situation, but I think it's more cost of living comparison to the Californias, the Illinois, to the Georgias, to the Colorados. Again, these major states, these major metropolitan areas, our cost of living is small in comparison to what is in these other states. And again, that's kind of
livable.
That is the more attractable thing. But like I said, and where I stand, and again, as I talk about it as the libertarian kind of mindset, folks, yeah, you have that right to come in and take advantage of that situation, again, to look at your odds and look to a more reasonable way of living. Again, if that's the state of Wyoming, then so be it. But the issue, or at least my main concern, and again, I am affected by it as well, too. Again, it feels like it's hurting local citizens more than it is benefiting. And that is the concern right now. And will this kind of flip-flop? Will that become an inverse where, again, years down the line, especially as we have this population boom, as we're seeing it right now, businesses come in, more jobs available, better paying jobs, higher quality way of living, again, new housing, new this or that, new streets, whatever it may be, again, for the future, hopefully in due time, housing comes down, cost of living comes down back to, again, where it was reasonable in the past couple of years before the pandemic. That's just my only hope, because right now it is concerning, and I think it's just more for citizens, for the local residents, again, whether it is here in Cheyenne, Casper, Jackson, Laramie, Rock Springs. Again, it's throughout the entire state.
And I hate to say this, and I'm not going to play politics, but I don't think you will see much happening until the next election cycle. I think a lot's going to determine.
I think that
I
probably,
think 2024 is going to determine a lot.
That goes on kind of par of, again, experts saying, hey, here's where the housing bubble might burst. But again, as I alluded to, we're seeing it with the car market where pre-owns, about 10-year-old pre-owns were about the same cost as a brand new car. And now we're starting to see that balloon burst a little bit as economics are starting to get a little bit better on that market.
Interest rates are totally out of whack compared to they were 3-4 years ago. So again, a lot of determining factors right now. But again,
without that presidential election will hold a lot of weight.
Yeah. All right, we do need to take a break. We'll come back with more of KRAE Reports that we can review. We're back after these words.
1480 KRAE is your home for live play-by-play coverage of high school basketball and football. To hear all the play-by-play calls of East, Central, and South football and basketball. You'll hear the conference action along with the postseason, and during the basketball season, 1480 KRAE features both boys and girls games. Catch all the exciting calls on AM 1480 KRAE, also streaming the games worldwide on the web at 1480KRAE.com.
Hi, it's Lee at Absolute Flooring. It's time to put 2022 behind us and get 2023 off to a great start. The best way to do that is with new flooring from Absolute Flooring. With a large variety of flooring products and a multitude of styles, colors, and prices, your new floor awaits you. And with the best in installers, get your new year started off right with a stop at Absolute Flooring in the Cheyenne Plaza and at AbsoluteFlooringWYO.com. Remember, it's always your home, your floor, your store, absolutely.
Burry Jewelers' 33rd annual Big Game Liquidation Sale is going on now. Don't fumble the ball by missing out on this huge sale. Save 50 to 75% on every item in the store. Every ring, every watch, every necklace, and every earring stud set needs to go. Bring your wife, bring your husband, bring a friend, and save 50 to 75% on fine jewelry today. Pre-shop now for the best selection. This sale happens once a year. Stop in today and save. BurryJewelers.com.
Check out the huge savings this week at Town & Country Supermarket Liquors. Here are just a few of the terrific weekly specials. It's your one-stop to shop for these Super Radio buys heard only right here. Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey, 1.75-liter bottle, $24.99. Corona, 24-pack, 12-ounce bottles or cans, $30.99. And Jose Cuervo Especial Tequila, gold or silver, 750-milliliter bottle, $14.99. Town & Country Supermarket Liquors on the South Greeley Highway, Cheyenne's low-price leader.
For 17 years at Kia of Cheyenne, we have strived to offer the best value in a new vehicle. I'm AJ Miller, and the new 2023 Kia Seltos will take on the roads with rugged capabilities for all climates. The 2023 Kia Seltos has available all-wheel drive, 10-inch touchscreen, heated seats, and turbocharged power. With the new Kia, get one of the best warranties in the business. Come in to Kia of Cheyenne, call 775-0123, or go to KiaofCheyenne.com, and we'll make it easy.
Warranty is a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 KRAE.
Other happenings on tap for today. Partly to mostly sunny and windy. Expected daytime high near 35. Winds out of a northwest direction, 35 to 40. Gusting as high as 55. Partly cloudy and blustery for tonight, a low down to 19 degrees. Sunny for tomorrow. We're calling for a daytime high near 41. And for Tuesday night, mostly clear and breezy, our low down to 22 degrees. We welcome you back to KRAE Reports, a weekend review. Heading into the closing half hour. I want to remind everybody our show will repeat at 4 o'clock today from 4 until 6. And again, we have the Wyoming Department of Transportation on for our first hour. Looking at, there's so much going on right now, Nick. Matter of fact,
legislative body still in session.
Yeah, I brought this up to you. You see a lot of this going on in the country right now. You see the smash and grabs and all that, and you feel for the local guy. Because what the local guy should be doing, you feel like he needs to pull out a machine gun and just blow these people away that come in there and rip them off. I'm just saying this.
You might want to make a distinction where, again, theft has been an issue across the nation for a long time. It's more so of that it is now seen as kind of petty crime in some areas. It's pandemic.
Well, and again,
it's pandemic. You are seeing it through the pandemic, but again, it's these thefts, which again has happened. It's happened here in Wyoming. Again, you see on the PD side, again, in years past, hey, here's camera footage of someone stealing this or that. And again, we've seen it. It happens all over. It's just been more, and it's more so of it's been kind of seen as a petty crime where you could go into Walgreens, steal as much as you can, especially in the likes of San Francisco, and they're going to let you walk out the door because it's just not worth the risk or again worth the cost.
And again, what's happening.
So make a difference on that.
Well, I understand that, but my point is though, here's the story. The story is Riverton Walmart has one of the highest theft rates in the nation, and criminals say they don't care if they're caught. So Wyoming's Senate Judiciary Committee was unanimous Friday in advancing two proposed laws tightening the state's criminal justice system. One punishing repeat thieves and another punishing people who keep fentanyl near children. If it becomes law, this is House Bill 112, it would let state prosecutors charge convicted thieves with felony as opposed to misdemeanor theft. After 4 prior convictions, the new felony charge would be punishable by up to 10 years in prison and $10,000 in fines. Well, here's where I'm at with this. And you said it too, across the nation. In a lot of the major metro areas, you could commit a crime today and be out on the streets by tonight. Well, Wyoming doesn't need to be like the rest of the country. Hey, you commit a crime, you need to do the time. And again, too, whether it's Walmart, whether it's Target, I don't care whether it's, Joe Schmo's, boot store. You commit a crime, you should be punished for it. There's laws on the books saying you commit a crime, it's illegal. And I don't know why prosecute, as you said, it's less expensive now, I guess, to not, persecute these folks.
Again, you're starting to see that with companies come out, corporations say, hey, again, if you have this incident, ignore it just to the fact that, again, insurance and this and that, again, is more expensive than what goods are stolen from the shelves. So, but again, we are starting to see an economic kind of, at least, impact from it of, again, with these thefts happening, it seems like products are getting a little bit more pricier just due to the fact that, again, you got to make up for that lost dollar that is being stolen. So, again, it's a nationwide, it's a worldwide issue. It's something that's facilitated by corporations as well, too. It feels like where, again, they're allowing these policies, again, as they're trying to save a buck or they don't want to pay in the insurance or this or that. Again, it's a massive effect that, again, it's not a simple answer to at least solve. And again, you go back to what you read off with the bill, 4 convictions, and then we make it this. So you're telling me, again, we got to wait 4 times for someone to keep committing crimes before we kind of step up to that next level. I get it, but also too, it's again, you already know this person's in for the line, at least for the life of crime. Why the 5th attempt?
Well, and here's where I'm at. We have jails. Do we want to keep them empty? Is that what I'm understanding?
Jails are not empty.
I understand.
I don't know where you.
No, I'm understanding. I mean, but here they
even looked at our jail here in town again. What has been the concern?
I know, but what I'm saying is that hey, you commit a crime,
Boom, it's okay. We're going to slap you in the wrist. Boom, we're going to slap you in the wrist. Boom, we're going to slap you. And then the fifth time, we're going to throw the book at you. Why do you have to wait 5 times until you get the book thrown at you? One time should be enough.
But again, to make it that strict of a punishment for theft, where again, yeah, you should punish them. But again, to go to that extent for a crime, and again, imagine that again, that bill's passed, and it's for a 14-year-old that, again, as a teenager, again, hands up out there across the world, that again, as a teenager, you weren't encouraged by your friends or didn't attempt to steal a candy bar from a convenience store or something like that. Again, everyone's been stupid. You've done stupid things like that. But all of a sudden, again, where as a teenager, yes, it's wrong, but you're human. You're going to make those mistakes at that age. But all of a sudden now, if we were to adopt that first time as you're kind of wanting, that seems a little harsh.
99
for again, a petty theft.
99 out of 100 times, a judge is going to not so much dismiss that stealing of a candy bar, Nick, but again, too, you also want to send a message that crime is wrong. And those of you, I should say those that have bucked the system, have stolen high-end meat, food, whatever the case may be. Hey, you know what? You need to do the time. And what makes me mad, again, like the Walmarts of the world, okay? Again, the corporations where they have insurance. Oh, sure. Don't worry about it. Let the shoplifters take their stuff and we'll write it off. Small business guys can't do that. Most of the time, insurance companies are going to cancel them. So, again, I think what happens when you have the big corps letting it go, so to speak, when it filters down to the small business guy, by the time he gets the small business guy, they're going to run him out of business. And again, I can't see, especially when I'm watching some of these smash and grabs in some of these places, it's like, my goodness, put a bullet in one of these guys' head, and that'll start deterring crime. But here,
which is extreme and just stupid. That's
I understand that because then you're in trouble for doing that. But my point is here: why allow this 4 times, 5 times? Hey, to the legislature, are you kidding me? After the first time he gets caught or she gets caught a second time, you throw the book at them, put them away for a while, let them think about what they did, rehabilitate them.
Is that going to change crime in this state or across the nation?
I think if you persecute
like that?
more, if you prosecute more,
there's criminals always.
If you prosecute more of these clowns after the first time,
do you think again lethal injection, again shooting squads, anything like that? Again, that high end punishment for crimes again has prevented murders homicides in this country.
I'm talking about.
I'm just saying again. This is not going to be an end all be all cure all. And again, for that Walmart in Riverton. It's something of if you pass this, does all of a sudden it become green grasses there at that Walmart in Riverton, where again thefts will never happen again? No, it's ridiculous. But it's something that yes, again for those criminals, it's something that I think it's case by case, and you got to figure out again other ways to again not just throw immediately the book.
You're giving them a green light right now. You're saying go ahead. Let's go rob Walmart anytime we want in Riverton.
I didn't say that.
No, but that's what you're saying. And then also, too, what I'm saying is, hey, you robbed us.
You're trying to put capital punishment on these people. Where again, is it going to all of a sudden?
In jail for if there's a law in the book for theft,
which there is,
and again, too, here's your deal. If you get caught a second time, do you think that person should be allowed out? I think they should. If they're going to do the crime, they need to do the time. What's on the books for that time? Put them away. I think that's the problem. We're not.
Is that going to rehabilitate someone? That
I think they'll know better. I think they'll know better the third time that they try to steal stuff.
Again, if they're that hardened of a criminal that they're going to repeat, guess what? They're going to continue to repeat.
And you make the punishment a lot longer, Nick.
But your theory, your thought is so asinine at a point.
It's not asinine.
Again, with as the level as it increases, does it deter? Not really. It sure as hell is not. Again, as
I
we
think
see
you're
crime.
absolutely wrong. I think we're
if
slapping
anything,
them
you
on the
need,
wrist.
you need to again heighten up security, or again you got to heighten up, or these companies, these corporations, these stores, again find a way to put in security guards or something like. Or again, you put
a security guard in. What are you going to do?
On your back end? Who knows? Again, I don't know what the security process is. There is no end all be all cure all message for again to stop crime. Clearly, as again crime has happened, what existence through humanity,
and you
need
to start prosecuting. You need to start sending messages. Crime is wrong, and you need to start putting them behind bars where they belong. Don't let them back out on the streets. It's a simple drill.
Yeah, we're also arresting those who are carrying marijuana, where again it's now legal in Albert and Minnie, again
it's
above 50%.
It's not legal in this state.
It's
though,
ridiculous, though, as well too. And again, we're wasting jail cells on that.
I don't care until it's. I don't have a problem either way. But my point is, it's still illegal in Wyoming.
Not, again, this bill, if it goes forward, which again it probably could, and again it probably will. But is it something that again will we see a downturn again on that specific of the Riverton Walmart as one of the hardest hits apparently in not even the state, but again in the country? Is it going to deter folks? No, I don't think so. Again, will you see a correlation on the stats in Riverton or again across the state with this being implemented? No. Criminals are going to commit the crime. You got to find a way, instead of just jail time or again going to that extreme where again they're bound to recommit those crimes. Instead, and again, we've had again Sheriff's Department in, we've had those representing the jail here in town. They're looking at programs to again get them on that straight and narrow. Here's how we help you out. Instead of you just sitting there doing your time and become one of those crime statistics, and your life now becomes, that rinse and repeat cycle. Instead of throwing the book at these people, instead, we need to find resources or ways to, again, truly rehabilitate these individuals to get them out of that life of crime. Because, again, in my personal opinion, I don't think jail at least does it. It might for some, but again, look at probably the correlation of stats, again, of those who've served time. Are they going to recommit another crime or do the same thing? Yeah. And again, this bill, as it seems, takes 4 instances. In the 5th one, we're going to go to above a misdemeanor. They've already proven that. They've already proven to be a criminal. Why 5?
I think the bill it needs to be refined. You're right. But again, too, what you're trying to tell me, though, Nick, and I know you're going to give me grief, but you're telling me crime pays.
Not really.
Well, it does. What are they going to be punished? What's the punishment? Oh, you can't shop here no more, but I can shoplift there? Come on. You know what? You start putting a deterrent that crime is not going to be tolerated anymore, and you tell the criminal, don't come here. You come here, you get busted, you're toast.
Like I said, the punishment should be there, again, should be jail time or prison time. But again, what I'm saying more so of, again, instead of locking them away and throwing away the key and going, okay, that'll solve their problems. Instead, we got to look to, again, there's got to be a punishment, but there's also got to be a way to get these folks out of that life of crime or figure out why the hell this is happening or find resources to, again, not ever happen again. Plain and simple.
I'm tired of this kowtowing down to the criminals. I mean, it's like we're doing all these things. Oh, they're mental this. Oh, they've had this problem. They've had that
Which
problem.
Are valid. Again, again, if you are schizophrenic or something like that, again, there is something chemically wrong with you. You got to get something, get medication or whatever on you to at least help you out. I think plain and simple. I think not to make, at least I think it is a valid excuse for some of those folks that, again, do commit those crimes, but it is something, you got to punish it, but you got to find a way to make sure that they don't repeat. And right now, the system as it stands where, again, here, lock away, throw away the key, is not getting it done because, again, look, as we've seen, we saw it, and again, the police department, the sheriff's office has admitted to it, to us, of when we put them away, we let them back out, guess what? They're going to repeat. We got to stop that repeat.
And as you repeat, the punishment gets deeper. And again, pretty soon you're going to max out. And that's what I'm saying, Nick. Again, you mentioned the kid stealing a candy bar. Okay? Judge 99 out of 100 times is going to let it go. Hey, you know what? Don't ever do it again.
Or community service.
Yeah, next time you see me, it's going to be worse. All right, so you see him a second time. Guess what? You're gonna wear an orange jumpsuit, and then you're gonna get out in a certain amount of time. You do it again, the punishment gets deeper and deeper and deeper to the maximum allowable punishment.
Even if you get your bill altered, and again, it's immediate on the first crime or again first theft, and again, this is what we're talking about. We're talking theft right now. And again, it is a crime without a doubt. And again, it affects folks, again, throughout the entire land. Again, business owners included on top of that. But it's something that this is a situation that even if that bill is to move forward, does it deter, does it detract would-be criminals from committing the crime, especially here in the state of Wyoming? No.
No, it doesn't.
No,
but
it does not.
It needs to be refined. And I think as I read it here, again, after the fourth time, it's like, obviously up there in Fremont County, obviously you turn your back 1, 2, 3, 4 times and strike 5. It shouldn't even go to strike 5. It should be like strike 2, strike 3, you're out. And I don't understand why the Senate even is letting it go that far. Somebody should be in there refining that bill.
There's various degrees of crime, and it's something that all deserve to be punished, but in certain ways. And it's something that, again, do we need on theft to, again, throw the entire book and say, hey, you're locked away for life? No, it's something that you got to go to you got to be, I think it puts a pressure on the criminal justice system of start becoming investigators. Start figuring out the root of the problem. Why the hell this is happening? Try to address it. And again, I think what I'm more stressing, and you're starting to see that stress amongst kind of at least folks across this land saying, we need to find ways to stop this immediately. Because jail time is not deterring folks from committing theft, from committing murder. Again, when we offer corporal punishment of, again, lethal injection, which, again, we still do here in the state of Wyoming, again, we've already seen how many homicides and murders so far here in the state. Still, folks are going to do it even though they know the crime, or at least the punishment for that said crime. So, like I said, I think it's more so of this does, if anything, this doesn't address the problem to an extent. I don't think it addresses the core problem of we got to find a way to stop this at the root cause. Is it adding more security? Is it, finding a way to make goods affordable for those? Is it, again, there's many solutions, but this is, again, if this bill passes, which, again, it probably will, but will it deter? Will it solve the problem, especially regarding Riverton? No. Plain and simple, no. It will not.
You and I are going to agree to disagree on this one. I just think, I think crime is just getting a little, because of, again, you could throw the pandemic in there. You can throw the economic state.
I throw social media that is also too heightened a lot of this. Where again, there were again, everyone assumes that this is happening here because of the pandemic. Yeah, again, thefts certainly it feels like have climbed, but again, there have been people robbing stores well back in the 90s, 80s, 70s. Again, it's been in the entirety of life.
Well, it's also two elected officials. Again, different philosophies that have come into play over the years, and again too, you look at the politics of the nation. Politics of the nation have really dictated a lot. Again, look how many defund police communities have popped up over the years. You want to defund the police? You want to defund law enforcement? Are you kidding me?
Well,
that's kind of reckless, isn't it?
Well, yeah, without a doubt, again, that mentality. But again, police also, too, again, where you have incidents as what we just recently saw, do not help out that, at least that argument for or against, where, again, you have, again, what was a clear crime committed by actual police on an individual. So, but again, there's a systemic problem across the nation, again, regarding crime, but also, too, it's how do we address that crime? What are those punishments? That hopefully, again, in due time gets solved, where right now this system as it stands right now is not cutting it, at least in my opinion. No. Again, the day and age of throwing away the key, locking away, here's a year, here's a couple months. Again, look at the stats. The stats are there to see that, again, they are going to repeat what they do. Again, that punishment clearly does not fit the crime. That, again, it is not addressing the problem.
Well, I think in the judicial system, when it gets before judges, I think judges need to start growing a backbone and start, hey, you robbed Walmart, you are going to pay them back. You're going to serve time, and you're going to pay them back for what you stole. See how many people, once you get caught, and, it only takes one to get caught, Nick, and it kind of sends a message because he got caught. Oh, by the way, he owes Walmart, maybe it is, I know I'm grasping for straws, but all we need is some deterrent to tell Joe Criminal, hey, you're going to get caught.
Your deterrent starts with the stores. I think plain and simple. It's got to start there. It's got to be layers of security. Again, as we talk with, airport security, where at least with TSA, again, we all know is a complete joke, but it's a part of a layer of security out there to make you feel safer. Again, they're not the end-all, be-all, but it's one of the deterrents. And I think that's where, and again, stores have that with security cameras, with security personnel, where, again, you got the doors. You have, again, those individuals that are at the front checking those receipts. Again, it acts as a deterrent. I think more stores, again, corporations already have that kind of somewhat implemented, but I think that's plain and simple. If you got to have kind of added more deterrents to avoid it. And, again, you are starting to see it as well, too. Again, as if I remember correctly, again, at least I do believe in Vegas, you're starting to see products now hidden behind glass walls.
Okay.
It's lock and key. Guess what? That's another deterrent.
And
it gets away the inconvenience of the shopper out there, but hey, it's another way to deter. And I think this is more so of, obviously everything has a cost to it. Are companies willing to invest that cost to avoid these measures?
And who do they pass on those costs to? The consumer, don't they? The companies pass along, anytime they're incurring a cost, they pass along the consumer. Also, too, as you're seeing stuff being put behind lock and key right now, we're seeing more of a hardened type criminal come in and use a weapon of sorts.
Which, again, has happened well before the pandemic, too.
I understand that, but again...
Any crime that you bring up right now, again, there might be upticks, but again, we have seen this. We've seen this. It's not a pandemic theft crime all of a sudden that this is a new crime. No, this has been going on for a while.
And a lot of these criminals...
It just fluctuates.
And
again,
a lot of these criminals know when they get caught, Nick, that they are going to... Hey, they're going to get slapped on the wrist. We got to stop slapping them on the wrist. They need to pay for the crime. It's that simple.
Plain and simple. Again, it does not address the core issue of, again, why are they committed the crime? How do we prevent it? Because, again, I think our punishment system right now does not... It does no good. In my opinion.
Well, we want to adopt the crime of the Persian Gulf. You rob something, they chop your hand off. You want to do that?
I didn't say that. Again, it's more so, again, look to what we've had here in town, again, or at least the programs.
I think we've namby-pambied criminals too much, and I think what we need to do now is start, hey, you steal something, and you know it's against the law, then you're going to have to suffer the consequences. It's that simple. I don't care if our jails are overflowing.
You should, because it costs you.
It's costing me by them stealing, too. I lose either way, don't I? I lose by them stealing stuff.
But would it be better to invest, again, in ways of rehabilitation programs to, again, address the core problem so, again, they do not do it again?
You just told me they don't rehabilitate when they're in jail for 10 years if they get the maximum. You just told me they don't rehabilitate.
I'm talking programs. Again, I kind of clean your ears on this, where, again, I'm saying doing the time is clearly not finishing, or at least that is not the end-all, be-all to solve crime, clearly, as crime still exists.
Well, like I said,
look again. I point to our local jail where, again, we've had Don Hollingshead in talk about, again, how we're implementing rehabilitation programs for those who are mentally ill, for, again, those who are hooked on drugs, to, again, address the problem and make sure that, or at least it seems like a hell of a lot better than lock away the key and then you fester on your problems and, again, you become a lifetime criminal. No, it seems like we're addressing the issue, trying to find the core issue and go, okay, by doing this and investing a little bit more money and time into it, again, our officers' resources, we're trying to make sure that you do not come back in here because, again, just doing the time is not cutting it. Because how many times have we seen those criminals go into jails, go into prisons, to serve whatever sentence, whether it's a couple months, couple years? Sure as hell seems like when they come back out, they're back in that jail again. So clearly, again, the system that we have now, the criminal justice system that we have right now, is not cutting it. And if we want to hit the core, again, I think it is, as we're starting to see these places implement or at least look to these programs. Obviously, it costs money, but again, is that investment worth it to at least say, hey, where in years past, 75% of these criminals that come in our walls at least come back and commit another crime, or hey, here's about a 25% decrease that we're starting to see folks are rehabilitating because of these programs.
Well, you and I are going to agree to disagree again. I say we kowtowed to them too much. We give them. You go to jail, you get more things than you probably had when you were at home.
Like I said, put them in jail, put them in prison, but during that time, instead of them just sitting idly by, working out and doing nothing, make them do something. Make them attend classes. Make them attend drug seminars, whatever it may be. Yes, it costs money, but again, is that investment worth it to make sure that they don't come back out where this system right now as is facilitating
and you got a
repeat
50-50 shot, don't you?
It's worth the shot. It's worth the shot because, again, right now this process is not working.
All right.
Clearly.
Not like I said again, we agree to disagree. That's going to wrap up our program for today. Tomorrow we'll talk sports. It will be the Pro Show, yours truly, along with Nick Proetti. We want to invite you to join us from 11 till 1 tomorrow right here on 1480 KRAE. That's going to wrap up today's program of KRAE Reports, a week in review. So for Nick Proetti, I'm Larry Proetti. We now return to regular programming on 1480.